Hello and welcome to SRUC Glasgow Queen's Park Open Day. Thank you so much for joining us. So my name is Opal Rowe and I'm a senior lecturer in horticulture, and I'm joined today by James Crichton, who's the programme lead for the Glasgow delivery of horticulture. So first of all, this presentation will hopefully give you a nice overview of the courses that we deliver and what to expect if you do sign up to them. So the SRUC Queen's Park Glasgow facility is a very unique setting. It's a post-Victorian glasshouse, and it's located in the Queen's Park area, which is in the south side of Glasgow. We share this facility, so we are tenants of Glasgow City Council, and it is a working council facility, and we are located to the rear of the glasshouse premise, and we occupy a corner which is made up of two teaching wings and several side tunnels which can be used for production horticulture and holding of plants. So just a couple of images to give you an idea. So horticulture, it's an incredibly diverse industry, and we hope that our courses will give you a comprehensive overview of the industry, and this is going to include topics such as production horticulture and amenity horticulture. Now, it's very important to realise that our courses have a scientific basis, and we also found a lot of our practices in commercial practices. So the kind of topics that you can expect to cover if you come to one of our courses is going to be classification of plants, plant science, anatomy and morphology, and plant physiology. And there's also a really big emphasis on the practical aspects as well. So this is going to be subjects such as active plant identification in the field, so to speak, crop production practices, and also lots of work placements and experiential learning, which we'll tell you more about later on in this session. So what do we offer at SRUC Glasgow? We offer the HNC in horticulture, which is SCQF level 7, so equivalency to the first year of a degree. And we also offer the HND in horticulture, which is SCQF level 8, equivalency to year 2 of the degree. So I'm going to ask James to just take over from this point here to tell you more about the delivery of our classes in the setup of the Queen's Park facility.
Thank you, Opal. We hold classes as often as we can live at Queen's Park. That's both theoretical classes and practical classes. We believe we can offer an immersive teaching environment when you're at Queen's Park or our related satellite sites. We work with a compressed schedule so that your working week with us is as functional for you as we can. So if you're in AM and PM with us when at Queen's Park. Pardon me. They are practical classes that we hold, which have to be related to the season. So we try and be as reflective of the horticultural year. As Opal has said, we try and mirror as closely as we can commercial best practices as seen throughout the UK. And that means that there are periods through the year when certain techniques occur and busy points otherwise for certain things that you will be learning. Another part of the SRUC experience is to make sure that we are giving you practice with practical work which we can't host directly at Queen's Park, but we use other affiliated sites which you will attend for those practices. Opal.
Thank you very much. So it's worth mentioning that if you do have any questions, if you just pop them into the Q&A box, and we'll answer the questions at the end of this presentation. So first of all, an overview of the HNC in horticulture. The entry requirements are 2 hires, and ideally one of them would be a science subject. So we would be looking for biology, chemistry, or physics. It's really essential that you have IT skills and you have IT skills which are aligned with the delivery of our courses. So we do use an online platform called Moodle, and that's a resource which can be used for holding of course materials, and it's also used for interactive classes and also for the uploading of course material. So please ensure that you do also have adequate IT connection within your home environment. So our courses, they consist of 2 semesters. So we run from September to May, and the semesters are 15 weeks long. And we run in morning and afternoon classes or sessions. So starting at 9 a.m. prompt and finishing by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So here is an overview for the academic year, next academic year, which is the 25-26 academic year. This information can be found on the SRUC website for all years. So you can see semester 1, it starts in September, and we have an induction week, and this is when you will get to meet your cohorts, and you will also get to meet the teaching team, and we will go through all the induction activities to make sure that you're really well prepared for the start of learning, which is the following week, on the 8th of September. We have a 15-week semester, and then we're finishing the first semester at the start of January. The second semester runs from January until May. So the HNC in horticulture. This is an encompassing course. It addresses a wide variety of subjects, and this is to try and give you the best platform as possible for entering the horticultural industry. So in first year, the modules are maintenance of gardens and green spaces, ecology and environment for horticulture, creation of gardens and green spaces, social horticulture, production horticulture, and plant biology. Now, most of these classes, they run for the entirety of the academic year. So that's to say that they are taking place in semester 1 and semester 2. And this is to give us as much time as possible, and you as much time as possible, to really sink your teeth into the learning materials, become familiar with it, but also in a supported way. It means that you're not feeling rushed when you're working on assessments. You have larger periods of time. So I'm going to refer to James here. So James is the HNC year tutor. So if you do choose to join the courses, he would be your primary contact if you had any queries or questions, or you wanted to discuss anything to do with your academic experience. James, can you tell us a bit more about the HNC and the subjects that are going to be addressed?
Yes, I think you've mentioned most of the points, Opal. As you have said, we're trying to cover all aspects of the horticulture industry in your HNC year. So it encompasses a lot of different areas, from science, from botany, taxonomy, all the way through to practical skills, propagation skills, but also amenity horticulture, i.e. working outside in the landscape. We have some garden design that we teach, working on a architect's slope, and we also have ecology in there, which is taught, along with a growing area in horticulture, which is social and community, which covers such areas as horticultural therapy, etc. So the first year gives you a taste of everything within the UK spectrum of horticulture. It's a very good broad topic that we cover.
So you can see on screen just now, there is an example timetable for the HNC horticulture, and you can see that we've really tried to compress the learning. So we usually run the HNC over 3 full days, and these days are together in the week. So the example on screen shows it as being on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That could change. It could be, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but we do try and group them together. And this is just really to give you as much freedom as possible, because we do understand that a lot of our students, they do have other commitments outside of education. So this could be caregiving, it could be work, etc. So this allows you to plan your academic year better, and it also means that all of the learning is happening over a distinct footprint in the week, and this is happening in semester 1 and semester 2. So if you decided to go part-time, so the previous slide was showing the full-time attendance, but you can also choose to do your studies on a part-time basis. And this means that the HNC, which usually takes 1 year for being full-time, you could do this over 2 years. And if you did choose that, the organisation of the subjects have been carefully planned to make sure that they're platformed. So the stuff that you really need to know in your first year are going to be plant biology, garden maintenance, social and community horticulture, and production horticulture. And in your second year of attendance, it would be taking a lot of that information, which has been covered in the first year, and pulling it together. So this is going to be working on perhaps larger projects and larger assessments, such as creation of gardens, ecology and environment, and also undertaking work placement activities. So this is experiential learning. So as I said before, SRUC uses online platforms for holding lecture materials, coursework, etc. And you can access from your home environment. This means that you have 24/7 hour access to all of the course materials which are delivered in the live classes. We also have the SRUC student desktop, which you can log into from anywhere as long as you have adequate IT connection. And within this, there is the full Microsoft suite. So this means that software such as PowerPoint and Word and Excel, you will have access to them as an SRUC student, and it means that you don't have to spend any money to be able to undertake the coursework. So the way that we run the courses is that we have learning outcomes, and learning outcomes are what is stipulated by SQA that we must cover for you to achieve your qualification. These learning outcomes are then assessed in the form of tests or presentations or portfolios, etc. And these are, of course, datelines. So you will be given a schedule of all your assessment deadlines at the start of the year, again, so you can really plan your time and make sure that you can give your absolute best when you're preparing your coursework. Submission of assessments is generally online, so this comes back to really having a good grasp of IT, and this is going to be submitted online electronically. And you will, of course, be given an SRUC email, which means that you can be in close contact with your lecturers for any queries or confirmation on questions. So to be a student in SRUC and in all educational environments, time management and engagement is incredibly important. So let's assume that you have undertaken your first year of the HNC in horticulture. You've had an absolutely fantastic time and you would like to perhaps explore what happens next. What are your options? Well, you could go and undertake the HND. So the HND is year 2, and this is the next step up in SQA study, equivalency to year 2 of the degree. Beyond this, you could also pursue undertaking a degree or an honours degree. And if this was the case, this would be at the SRUC Edinburgh King's Buildings campus. However, for some people, they may find that they actually want to leave education at that point and enter industry. And a HNC is an excellent qualification, and many students seek employment with a HNC and secure employment and continue on their horticultural journey. It's entirely up to you and what you feel is best. But for talking's sake, let's assume that you are interested in undertaking the HND. The entry equivalency requirements for the HND is a HNC in horticulture. So by undertaking and passing your HNC, you can enter into the HND year. Again, IT skills are essential. The course consists of 2 semesters, and this is morning and afternoon classes. So the topics that you will address in your HND are going to be advanced plant biology, horticultural research, professional practices, advanced production horticulture, sustainability and innovation, and specialised plant production. So a lot of the topics that you're addressing, they are advanced from the HNC year. When it comes to plant biology, for example, advanced plant biology, you're not just looking at the morphology of the plant and the organs, you're taking it that little bit further. You're looking at adaptation, you're looking at cladistics, you're looking at plant response to environment. You're also going to undertake a research project. So this is in applied horticultural research. And this is drawing together all of the information that you've learned in the first year and applying this to a scientific trial. Generally, students are undertaking plant trials. However, if you do have an interest in doing a study which is out with a traditional plant trial, we can support you in this. For example, if you have an interest in ecology and you would like to do some kind of surveying, that's completely fine. We really try and work with the students to make sure that the interests that they have, they can be harnessed within the confines of a scientific trial. We also have advanced production horticulture. And again, it's taking that learning in year one and just taking it that bit further. And this is going to be incorporating a lot more technology into it. So it's going to be looking at precision horticulture. It's going to be looking at hyper-controlled environments. You're going to be working with hydroponics, for example. You're going to be looking at light systems, and you're going to be understanding better how that interaction with the plant is going to affect crops. You also have subjects which are more focused on the specialised aspects of plant production. So this is looking at advanced propagation techniques. So this is subjects such as micropropagation, the creation of plants within an aseptic culture environment. It's looking at advanced grafting techniques, perhaps the grafting of cactuses or chip budding, which is incredibly important for the fruit production industry. There's lots and lots of aspects of plant propagation, which we cover. Air layering, lots of different types of cuttings. I'm probably forgetting loads of them. James, feel free to chip in if there's any more you can think that I've missed.
Well, no, I think you're doing a great explanation. And the big bit that when you step into your HND, that's very exciting is the world of micropropagation, which commercially is one of the main methods of producing large volumes of plant stock. So you've learned in your first year all the basics, working with seed and larger cutting material, whereas when you've moved into your second year, you're refining your techniques, working in aseptic environments, lab environments to propagate plants. So the skill level does step up. We take you through basic knife work in your first year and sharpening large knives and grafting that way. But when you're in your second year, it's scalpels and finer work, which is very exciting, I think.
Absolutely, and it opens up these larger conversations as well about the rationale behind plant production. So we're going to have lots of really in-depth conversations about production of plants for retail, but also production of plants for conservation. So it gives the students a really, really good chance to understand better, not just how to do advanced propagation techniques, but why we are doing them. It puts a real kind of sense of purpose to them. So similarly to the HNC, you can see on screen here an example for the full-time attendance for the HND in horticulture. And again, for full-time, it is 3 full days in the week. The example here shows the days, the footprint of the days being on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But of course, this is an example, and that might change for the academic year that you sign up to. Again, we've tried to group all of the teaching together into a distinct footprint in the week to allow you a little bit more freedom to plan your extracurricular activities. Now, it's important to realise that the facility that we teach out of in Queen's Park, it is a live glasshouse, and by live we mean it is used by Glasgow City Council as a centre of operations, and it is a realistic working environment. We offer what we believe is a very authentic learning experience for horticulture. We at Glasgow, we're not confined by lecture theatres. You will actually be learning within a glasshouse environment. And this creates an incredibly agile environment. It means that 1 minute we can be doing a lecture, we can be learning more about the in-depth techniques of a particular practice, and then within a couple of minutes, we can be physically undertaking that practice because we are teaching and doing practical activities within the same environment. Now, with this positivity of agileness when it comes to learning, we are also in a glasshouse. So SRUC always puts student welfare first. And we need all of our potential students to understand that changes to timetabling may occur in short notice. So, for example, if there is a period of extreme weather, let's say there's high winds or snow, for health and safety reasons, we would have to move the in-person experience of learning to the online environment. And that's just to ensure everybody's health and safety. And we do, of course, ask for your understanding and cooperation if this does happen. There is generally a high period for adverse weather in Scotland, and it sits around about March, April time. There's usually some quite high winds, etc. And we've already planned a lot of our teaching to take place online so that it reduces the disruption as much as possible. However, there are occasions when we do get adverse weather conditions and we do have to make very, very fast decisions to move teaching. James, would you like to tell us more about the student experience at SRUC?
Yes, I think you've been highlighting what we offer here, and I think it was very important when you said we're not confined by being in a lecture theatre. A million years ago, when I was a student, you had days when you were just in lecture theatres getting your science and your anatomy and your taxonomy, and you would always be looking forward to your practical day, which was back then on a Wednesday afternoon. And what we can do here is have, because we've got the big screens, we can run the lecture and you can actually get your hands dirty and spill compost at your desk on the floor. This is just a great concept for us with a vocational aspects of horticulture. Of course, some of the classes are strictly learning classes, but I think that was a big thing that we really need to highlight is the experiential part of it. At SRUC, we see the students as a community, and you will find very quickly that you sort of bond with your group, and everyone starts to create their own social media groups, etc. And we try and encourage that as best as we can. We have a students' union called SRUC, and they do things like occasional pub quizzes and pizzas and lovely bits and bobs like that. So that's very much there. But your student journey is supported by student support services. We know that people have different aspects to their own health and welfare, etc. And we want to support anyone that comes in, and you would have access to that and be able to book private consultations with the support services staff. So perhaps that could be that you're worrying about coming into education, and perhaps it's something like dyslexia. How would that affect you when you come to do your studies? Well, our student support services are there to support you, and they would put forward support methods to us as lecturing staff to help enable your process of learning with us. One of the things that's important to mention about Queen's Park, however, is that it is a Victorian Victorian building, and nearly entire place is wheelchair accessible, but not all parts are. The parts that we access, and that includes the main spine, etc., for the public are in, are wheelchair accessible, and we try our best to make sure that any parts of the experience are fully accessible to all. However, Queen's Park is, as I say, a Victorian structure, and therefore we can't say it's 100% accessible. I would say it's very important that if you are going to be joining us, that you do have the conversation with student support prior to engaging. The sooner that you get basically the wheels rolling on that, the quicker they can implement anything that's required to support and enable your learning with us. Opal.
Thanks, James. So there are many, many aspects to horticulture, as we discussed already, and as a result of that, there are many, many career opportunities and options within horticulture. So these can be generally grouped to amenity horticulture. So with a HND in horticulture, you could consider perhaps working within a local council. You could be looking at botanical gardens, historical gardens. It could be in a supervisory position. There's also production horticulture, and I'm going to go to James for this because this is his specialty area.
Okay, so Opal, you're quite right. In British horticulture, we tend to split it into amenity and production. That's the main way it's kind of viewed, where these are the biggest sectors. Now, production covers two areas, edibles and ornamentals. And within edibles, anything that is grown from field scale, so farming scale, all the way down to glasshouse production, which is protected, is horticulture. The only things that are grown that aren't horticulture are cereals. That would be agriculture. So we have to give you a taste of all of that. So tomato production and lettuce production, etc., all the way through to ornamental production, always tempered by the fact we want to show you as it's done commercially. So we have great links with local nurseries, etc., where we can take you to visit to see it being done commercially, but also we enact as best as we can all of the techniques that would be done commercially. And obviously, as you go into your HND, you will see the more advanced techniques that are used globally to create food supply chains.
So other areas of horticulture which you might be interested in entering from a career perspective is retail horticulture. So garden centres, general retail and wholesale. And there's also the option of research. Now, for research, we would recommend that you do undertake more education. So having a degree or an honours degree would be incredibly useful for this. But career options are, plant breeding, it could be plant pathology. You could be undertaking research, either as a primary investigator or as a research technician. And there's also plant advisory services, so consultation.
I think, Opal, that's...
Oh, sorry, carry on.
Opal, I think that's one of the big things. SRUC is the only site that's offering a degree in horticulture. So the stepping up from an HNC, HND, and if you're successful, and this is the route you want to go to, progression over to Edinburgh to the third year and into the sort of research, if that's your area of interest, is something which SIC offers and enables. And just to put it out there, I mean, Scotland does do a lot of crop research, big advisory centres around Edinburgh and further up north, etc. So our students are being schooled in the techniques, that lab techniques, etc., that would be required for a career in that area.
Absolutely. And throughout the course of of your education, we do try and facilitate as many visits as possible to really give you a taste of these industries and to speak to the people that currently work in these industries to understand better what a day in their life looks like. So we do take our students to, the Botanic Gardens, for example. We have an incredibly positive working relationship with the Glasgow Botanic Gardens. There's the RBGE, the Royal Botanic Gardens Edinburgh. We have SASA, we have various commercial wholesale and crop production glasshouses which we visit. We try and cover as many aspects as possible, not just to support your learning, but also thinking moving forwards what areas you might like to enter. And there is finally, of course, education. That might be something that you're interested in. And this could be in the capacity of, being a trainer, being a technician, being a lecturer. You could also be interested in entering some form of journalism or media related to horticulture. This is just some of the ideas. Horticulture goes so much wider than what's even shown on this screen, and this seems like quite a lot, but it is an enormous industry. So out with the visits that we facilitate, we also feel that practical experiential learning is a really, really big part of being a horticulture student. So at SRUC Glasgow Queen's Park, we have a unique partnership with the National Trust for Scotland, and on distinct days throughout the academic year to make sure that we capture as much of the season as possible. In your first year, the HNC, you will attend National Trust for Scotland Greenbank Gardens, which is about 5 miles to the south of Glasgow, within the Glasgow boundaries still. So I'm going to ask James to just quickly talk us through the experience, and I have a whole variety of images here just to give you an overview of the kind of activities which you will undertake as part of this experience.
Okay. Thank you. I was just answering some questions in chat there. Greenbank is National Trust of Scotland, and we have a wonderful working relationship with the National Trust at Greenbank. So if you're not familiar with Greenbank, it is a historic walled garden set within parkland, and the students, when you go there, I mean, it's open to the public and it has a cafe and, that type of thing. When you go there, you're sort of within the walled gardens behind the scenes, and you get to get your hands on a huge variety of plant material, ornamental, edible, grass cutting, the whole shebang. And the very exciting thing about the experience at Greenbank is that there are summer internships. These are funded placements for students over summer. There are currently 3 on offer. They're only offered to our HNC students who are progressing into HND. So the students, if you're enjoying Greenbank, you can put your name in the hat to be considered for one of these positions. They're not offered to anyone else. They're only, and they're paid positions over the summer break, and so that when you come back to do your HND, you've spent the summer months immersed, as we can see here, in and at Greenbank. The range of experiences here are really, really remarkable. We've had the students doing everything from creating wildlife ponds to considering the diseases of trees, the Phytophthora ramorum, etc. Also, ecology, trying to make the place more accessible to the public. There's so many different aspects of hands-on amenity and interpreting a historic garden to make a better experience for the public. And as you can see from this, you get awfully muddy, and sometimes it can be quite cold and wet, but everyone loves their time at Greenbank.
Thanks, James. And it's worth noting as well that while all the tools that you use are provided by SRUC or our partner organisations who are facilitating experiential learning, students must have their own appropriate PPE, so personal protective equipment, and this is in the form of steel toe-capped shoes, reinforced work gloves, and appropriate waterproof clothing. You will not be allowed to undertake any kind of practical activity if you do not have the appropriate PPE with you.
And one last thing is we do ask students to provide their own secateurs. We have secateurs, but as a horticulturalist, we would expect you to carry your own when you're at class.
Lovely. So I think we're almost finished here. Here's just some students who are working in the potting sheds, and they were working on begonia laminar cuttings. Greenbank also holds the National Brigenia collection, so you will get a chance to work with the Brigenias and learn more about them. Excellent. So all being said, we do hope that you will join us at SRUC. Hopefully this presentation has given you most of the information which you require, and we hope that this is the right course for you. On screen just now, you can see James Crichton's contact, and if you do have any questions related to the course, please send him an email and he will do his best to answer for you. Are there any questions?
We have a whole ton of questions here. A few of them have been answered throughout, but I'll ask them anyway, just for those that have joined us late and for the recording.
Sure.
So first off the bat, how close is the Greenbank facility to campus?
I shall Google it right at this moment. I think it's in the regions of 4 miles or so. So it's accessed by public transport. On the days that you are at Greenbank, you would not be attending Queen's Park. So instead of travelling to Queen's Park, you'd be travelling to Greenbank. So there is a train station and also a bus stop, and there is also a car park which people can park in as well. But I'll get the exact specifics on the mileage for you.
Super. And we've got a question from Chris asking or saying, I'm interested in soil management and biodiversity. What would that come under?
Well, that's a very good question. And the topic of soil is obviously core to horticulture, and it doesn't sit within any specific modules, a siloed topic. It is discussed in many of these modules in your HNC and as you go into your HND. So when we mentioned you will be getting taught sciencey things, it will be CEC of soil, so the cation exchange capacity of soils, that's selling it. Mineral structures, soil texturing, so you'll be out doing soil sampling, pH testing of soils, also growing medias, whether they are compost-based or mineral-based. There is a big push, particularly now with the change in some of the modules in the first year, so that ecology is embedded in as a big focused area of study in itself. But in terms of soils is in a lot of these topics, including design, etc., maintenance of gardens, and we would tackle it in each of those modules over the academic year.
I've got the answer to the distance, which was the initial question. So from the 520 Langside Road address, which is for Glasgow Queen's Park to Greenbank Gardens, according to Google Maps, it's coming in at exactly 5 miles. If you are driving, it would take 23 minutes via Clarkston Road. But of course, we would provide all of that information to you.
Great, thank you both. Next question, where are work placements held? Are they paid? Is there transport?
No. You can arrange work placements yourselves, and if you can land one that is paid, that is fine. Most of our work placements are volunteer based, and these can be within local orbitals. So we have people volunteering different areas locally, all the way through to hospital gardens, etc. It depends particularly when you're in your HND year, which sort of direction you're wanting to go with, and we would try and get you to tailor at least two work experiences in different areas just to add more to your CV.
Great, thank you. Next question. Is it a suitable teaching environment due to the noise when there's heavy rain with the glass?
That's a lovely question. It can be particularly noisy when it rains, absolutely. But in terms of its suitability, yes is the answer, so that we can have you in an environment which you would be actually sort of working in. If you had graduated and were working in the industry. So when there was anything terribly torrential, we may stop lecturing for a little bit, but thus far it's been watertight as well.
Brilliant, thank you. And I can affirm I've been to the campus on open days and heard sitting at the back of the room with noise. It can be noisy, but certainly not enough to kind of drown out the talking of James Noble. So I wouldn't say that is an issue at all.
It takes a lot to drown us out, I think.
Yep.
What else do we have here? I'm not a local to Glasgow. Are there plenty of places to eat, things to do in the area in your campus, and is there accommodation nearby?
So there is lots to do. It's based in the south side of Glasgow, very, very close to Shawlands and Strathbungo, both of which have a huge variety of cafes and eateries and interesting shops, etc. Directly next to the glass houses, there is a Tesco Express, which is, I'm not very good at measuring distances. How far away would you say that is, James? I don't know. 400 meters away. I mean, it's not terribly far.
Yes, and there are lots of a whole range and scale of eating places, some quite expensive and others a lot more affordable, and our students very much enjoy that. Accommodation-wise, we don't tend to comment on that. Opal?
So SRUC does not have accommodation specific for students. However, as a Glasgow native, I have in the past assisted people who are moving from different locations, just pointing them in the right directions of places to look to find accommodation, which might not be as obvious if you're not familiar with the location, and just to give advice on good transport links and postcodes which might fit your personality. But no, we do not have
Halls of residence.
Halls of residence affiliated.
Great. There was a question, can you do the HND at Glasgow, which we do offer. We've got how often are students off campus and how far are they travelling from campus for maintenance and work placements?
When they are at Glasgow, Queen's Park, we try, and as we've said, to compress the week. So it would currently, can't guarantee it'll be this the next academic season. We have the HNC in on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We have the HND in a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Any days that are for either work experience or experiential learning, say at Greenbank or any other site, we would set a day and you would only attend your work experience or experiential working day on that day. You wouldn't be at Queen's Park. We try to make it as useful to the students as possible. Hence, you're in AM, PM in a compressed week. Very different from when I was a student and you might have a class on a Friday afternoon, one on a Tuesday morning, and your whole week was broken up. We very much recognise that people have lots of other commitments in their lives, including part-time work, etc. So that's why we've tried to make it as user-friendly, our attendance at our course.
So just to follow up on that, for the actual footprint of attendance to Greenbank in the first year, using this academic year as reference, there was 8 full days which the students attended Greenbank, and these were spread throughout the academic year to try and capture as much of the different seasons as possible to make sure that the widest range of activities could be undertaken. For more local activities which are undertaken, so this isn't work experience as such, but it is experiential learning connected to your coursework. We work closely with the Friends of Queen's Park, which is located actually within the park, and Urban Roots, for example, who are a mile away, so to speak. We do try and find other experiential activities which are very, very close to Queen's Park, so it's as easy as possible for us either to just simply walk down from the glasshouses as a group or to organise to meet at an organised place. Hopefully that answers your question.
Perfect. And I've got one here. Are the skills taught in these courses unique to Scotland, or do they have global validity?
So that's
good. Sorry, I was just going to jump in there. Both. We teach to an EU standard. I know Brexit's occurred, but we still, in Britain, the industry still adheres to EU standards. They're still to be separated out. And our skill sets would make you have skills that are transferable within the EU. So some of these techniques are also completely suitable for North America, the Far East, etc., particularly when we move into the more advanced techniques in your second year, when we're teaching you things like LED diets for lighting diets for plants, hydroponic systems, etc. These are very much transferable global skills.
Yeah, I would agree with what James has said there. We do address primarily skills which are familiar to this part of the world in Northern Europe. However, as you progress through the years, it does become more global. And by the time you get to fourth year, if you were to go that far into the Edinburgh delivery, you're looking at global horticulture. So you're looking at very, very different growing environments, and you're addressing and critiquing and understanding better how socio-political circumstances are affecting that. You're understanding how community, inequality and diversity is affecting that. Pathogens obviously is going to be a primary concern. So although we do address both, I think it would be fair to say that we start reasonably local in first year, and as you progress up the years, it becomes more national and then international.
Perfect. There's just a couple questions left. We have, do you have apprenticeships in horticulture or garden design for the over 40s?
Currently, no.
No, but if you are interested in garden design, I would encourage you to look at our SRUC Edinburgh delivery on the webpage, as they have landscape design delivered there. And also at the Oak Ridge campus, which is near Broxburn, they have an NC in horticulture with garden design. In the first year, there is a module called Creation of Gardens, which I'll ask James to say a few words on, if that's okay.
Yes. Absolutely. So we do cover the basics of garden design in the first year, or the HNC. It doesn't continue into the HND at all. And in the first year, there is a module, as Opal said, creation of gardens. And we reflect there that you don't do any computer-aided design there. It's strictly hand drawing, and you're taught how to do scale drawings, sectional drawings, and create planting plans that would be usable in a business and would work quite well. So students do build up a portfolio, but it's quite old-fashioned in the sense that it's a paper portfolio and not computer-aided design.
But there's no age restriction or being over 16, over 18 is the only restriction. We've had students from a whole variety of backgrounds and ages, from school leavers all the way to post-retirement, and they are all more than welcome. And please don't think that age is a restriction in any way or a barrier to being on our courses.
Yep.
In fact, many people do choose to enter the world of horticulture as a result of a career change.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Next up, we have, can you switch from full-time to part-time once the course has begun?
Yes, absolutely. We will do our best to work with you to make sure that your education is fitting with your personal life as best as possible. And for some of our students, that does mean that they have signed up for full-time, but after reflection, part-time might be a better option for them. So yes, we can support you on that.
Great. I've got another question here. If I want to go beyond HND and study in Canada, would this qualification be enough to do that?
So I don't have that direct information to hand, but Jack, if it's all right, can you please take a note of whoever sent that question, and I can find that information out with this conversation and get back to them with what I can find.
Yeah, of course, no problem. We also have, does completion of the HNC guarantee entry to HND?
I think I answered that. Oh, yeah, we always would offer our HNC students first dibs, if you like, into the HND. We try and encourage people to sign up for the HND, which would mean that your first year, the HNC, you would just come to us and be year one HND, HNC. But if you have just signed up for the HNC and you complete it successfully, you've enjoyed yourself, you think, yeah, I'm going to progress, then you would be considered first for our HND year.
I would encourage students who are just signed up for the HNC, if they do wish to progress, to be as timely as possible with that, and not leave it right to the last minute, because we are, of course, bound by capacity. And if we do have, a large first year cohort, all of whom want to progress, I would be as timely as possible with that. Or just sign up for the HND to begin with, and that way you're already signed up for the 2 years of the course.
Okay, we have, is it possible to work your own job and be a student at the same time?
We have
That's it.
many students who do this. Sorry, James, carry on.
Sorry, I was just going to say that's a really good question again, because just as you were saying, Opal, we have had so many students that are holding down a job or part-time work or 2 part-time jobs. We have had people who, have carer issues, etc., and they try and juggle things. Now, we would always ask the candidate to reflect themselves and on themselves whether they can handle all of these pressures. With our compressed teaching, we feel that helps or enables people to perhaps hold on to a part-time job, etc., whilst in full-time study.
But yeah, incredibly common, I would say, for people to actually be working in industry while studying at the same time as well. That's a very common situation. And we will, of course, support as best as we can.
Okay, I have, do you work with employers who are looking to take on modern apprentices in horticulture and support their learning whilst working?
Yes, not necessarily apprentices, but we have lots of connections who offer us job adverts, and I think Opal and I have been writing references left, right, and centre the past while. So when say local nurseries or whatever know about us and know that we process students, and they've met us and they know how we try and mold students for the industry, and we do get a lot of job offers to process and offer to our students.
Yeah, and James and I, although we look very fresh-faced. Between the two of us, we have around about half a century of industry experience between us. And we do have a lot of links to industry, and we know a lot of people. And although we might not be able to directly answer a question or secure a position, we can certainly point you in the right direction of who to speak to for more information.
Super. And the last question that we have here is, do you think HNC is suitable if you're interested in garden design and landscape working on, sorry, words have escaped me there. I'll ask that again. Do you think the HNC is suitable if you're interested in garden design and landscape working on challenging ground like waterlogged or steep gradients?
So I would probably say that if your interest is in design, as I said before, have a look at the landscape design course in Edinburgh, because I feel that would probably meet what you're looking for more precisely. Yes, there are aspects covered within the HNC in horticulture, but it's really important that you choose the course that is right for you and it meets your expectation. We do cover aspects, but maybe not to the depth that you would like. So look at landscape design in Edinburgh.
Yeah. We give our students online access to the sort of trade magazine, which is called Horticulture Week. And Horticulture Week is where the jobs in not just Britain, but globally are advertised within horticulture, both amenity and production and retail, estate work, etc. And we always tell our students, it's not really part of any module specific, but we always say, look at jobs, look at what they're asking for, look for things which you might have to add out with a qualification to be able to apply for a job that you have, in your mind that you would like to do. So we try and keep you as savvy with the industry, the various industries, and what they require for a future employee.
Perfect. Well, that's all the questions that we have. So thank you both very much for your time today. If any more questions do pop in, then James's email address is on the screen there, so please use it.
Magic, thank you. Thanks, Jack.
No problem at all.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Great,
thank you, everyone, for joining.